evening, Internet world. I'm John Hartness, and this is my Contagion post-show report. It is Sunday at about 11:15 p.m. 27 hours ago or so, we wrapped the first ever Contagion professional development conference for artists and creators. Partnered up with the Muggles Market from the Geek Gala to make Muggles Market 2 as part of Contagion. And I'm just going to go through a little bit about how the day went and talk through some things that went really well, some things that didn't go as well, some lessons we learned, and talk about whether or not there will be another Contagion. The day was great. Let's just start there. The day went great. This was a source of a lot of anxiety for me because while I've put on a lot of shows over the years, I've not ever thrown a con. And I knew that the Muggles Market piece of it would go very smoothly because Joey and Wanda and the Charlotte Geeks have done that for 5 or 6 or 7 years now. Maybe even as many as 10. I lose track. That part was in good hands. And I knew that the Creatives Alley was going to be pretty successful because I've laid out exhibit halls and authors' alleys and things. I can lay that out in my sleep. There were a couple of points of anxiety for me. One was one of the biggest anxiety-inducing things for me was tables. Will the tables get there on time? That was one of my biggest fears. I called on Thursday to confirm the tables. I got an email on Friday confirming the table delivery. Pardon me. With the address, everything was lined up. And I don't, in my heart of hearts, trust humans very much. So at 7:05 in the morning, when the it was more like 7:35 in the morning, when the tables rolled up, it was a huge weight off my shoulders. So the tables delivered. Party Time Rentals came through. They gave us a good price on the tables. Their guys were courteous. They brought them in the building, set them down. They were not hired to set up. We had volunteers for that, and me, and family members of people who were exhibiting and people who were exhibiting. So tables showed up, tables arrived. That was great. The venue staff at the Queen's University Sports Complex were very good. They were very helpful. The classrooms where we were holding the workshops were already set up when we arrived, and Steve from Queen's University was very helpful in setting up the chairs and moving anything we asked to have moved, and overall their staff was very helpful and very good. The only thing that keeps me from going back to that venue year after year is there's not enough classroom space. We had to cap attendance at 50 because I could only fit about 55 people total in the 2 classrooms. That meant that once we hit 30 people in the big classroom, we were done. That workshop was full. Now, due to illness, because the event did take place on the 9th of February, and it is cold and flu season, due to illness, we lost some attendees. I have told the ones that have contacted me, I've told them, hey, I'm sorry you were sick. If we do the event again in 2020, I'll roll your membership over. I feel like that's the least I can do. So that meant that any of the overage that we were going to have in the larger classroom, because we had about 32, 33 people signed up for a couple of workshops and 30 chairs. Because there were people that got sick and couldn't come, everyone fit. The workshops were incredibly well attended. Because I'm a writer and I'm the one putting on the con and leading the workshop planning and all that. The writing workshops were better attended than the non-writing workshops because my reach is better in the fiction writing community. And I felt a little bad for the folks who were leading the other workshops, but they still had people. There were people there to talk to, and God knows I've been on panels at conventions where literally no one showed up. So we didn't have any empty panels. We didn't have anything where no one signed up, so I was happy about that. We led off the day with Gail Martin doing a social media marketing workshop, and all of the workshops were geared up to start at 10 o'clock. I got to the site at 6:45. The tables showed up, I don't know, 7:15, 7:30. And then we were off to the races. The first group of Muggles Market exhibitors, they were rolling in before we got all the tables in the building. So they were coming. And we were moving. Melissa and Teresa set up the Falstaff Books area, so I didn't have to do it. And they just generally make it look nicer than I do anyway, so I always just get out of their way and let them do their thing. So I was running around answering questions, pointing people towards tables, trying to help where I could, answer questions where I could. I sat down and looked at my clock, and it was 10 after 10. And I thought, oh, well, I should go make sure that there are people in the classrooms. And I walked over, and I poked my head around the corner, and there's Gail leading a workshop, and there's 20 people in the room. And I walk back, and I look at the people at my table and say, maybe I should remember that there's a reason I hire grown-ups and professionals and just stay out of their way and let them do their shit. So the rest of the day, that's what I did. I stayed out of people's way and let them do their shit. We sold a lot of books. We did, I think, $375, which is really good for a one-day event. It's really good for a first-year event. Even if I had paid for my table, which, spoiler, I didn't because I paid for the event, that would have been a profitable one day. Let's see, what else? I led a workshop. Oh, yeah. We had a workshop leader have to cancel. Faith Hunter had a death in the family and had to cancel on Thursday night. We wish her, obviously, our deepest condolences and sympathies. And we're very fortunate in that in this area, we have enough strong writers that we can fill someone in. Misty Massey stepped in, taught, instead of Faith teaching her make your first 5 pages sing workshop, Misty did a character building workshop, and it was full, and people were laughing loud enough to be heard down the hall. There have been people tweeting and Facebooking about it all day today. It was great. We lost no momentum, and we lost no credibility by losing Faith, because Misty is absolutely a fantastic workshop leader and did a great job. So that's just lucky, because I'm lucky that I have enough friends close by and that I hire adults and let them handle their own shit, because Faith had Misty lined up before she ever told me she had to stay home and take care of family. So, pro tip, if you're going to bail on an event and you can book your own replacement, do it. It makes the event organizer love you, even though they're not going to get to spend time with you at that event. So, my best to Faith. I love her to death. I hope with all my heart that she'll be able to participate in events that I produce in the future. And Misty did great. We had 5 workshops in each room, so 10 workshops, and the writing workshops, I think the 20 we had for Gail's 10 a.m. Saturday workshop was the lightest attendance we had. So we had full rooms, and that was very gratifying. I taught the last workshop of the day, which there were a couple of reasons for that. One, I figure people would have been leaving early, so I took the slot that I thought would have the worst attendance, so that nobody else had to feel bad about it, because I'm either going to feel great or feel bad about the whole event, regardless if there's anyone to listen to me talk for my workshop. Also, I didn't want to strike my booth. So if I'm teaching a workshop during strike, I don't have to tear down my own table. I did not get this fat by not being lazy, y'all. I don't like manual labor, so teaching the last workshop gave me an opportunity to avoid it. And it let the other folks who were leading workshops leave earlier. I was going to be there till 6 o'clock when the guys came to pick up the tables, regardless. There were 30 fucking people in that room, y'all. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. Some of those folks had been sitting there since 10 a.m. with 30-minute breaks in between the panels. And I think there were 2 empty seats in the room. I was so gratified by that. My heart grew 3 sizes that day, as the man says. We had a great time. I gave them my 10 things you're doing wrong with your writing presentation, which has 15 items, because fuck math. And people seemed to really grab onto it. Some folks came up and told me that it was very helpful, that there were specific things that they really wanted to learn, and that they got a lot of useful information, not just out of my workshop, but out of the whole day. When we first planned Contagion, Joey Starnes, who runs the Charlotte Geek Gala, she's the first one who floated to me the idea that we wanted to be dramatically different than every other science fiction and fantasy con out there. There were no panels at this event. It took me a while to explain that to my friends who I do conventions with all the time, who wanted to be on panels and they wanted to help out. There were no panels. I had 5 workshop presenters for writers and 5 workshop presenters in the other room and 5 demos in the Creatives Alley. That's it. That's all we did. Because we wanted to do presentations and workshops that were a deeper dive into the topics than you can have on a 1-hour panel. Because in a typical science fiction and fantasy convention, you come into a room and there's 4 to 7 people on a panel. We're going to say there are 5 because it makes my math easier. Now, it's a 1-hour panel, which really means it's 50 minutes. Because you have to have panels starting on the hour. You need time to change over the room, so your panels are supposed to be 50 minutes. We built a half hour in between each presentation so that people could go the full hour and run over if conversations were really good and they needed a few extra minutes. That's an idea I stole from JordanCon. They do a half hour in between all their panels, and I thought it was really good. I think Dragon does 30 minutes between their panels as well. It really took a lot of the stress off of watching the clock while you were teaching. So that was something we did that was different. But usually if you've got a 50-minute panel, you got 5 people who have to introduce themselves. The first 7 minutes of the panel are gone just in, hi, I'm John Hartness, I do this, da-da-da-da. Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno, and I do this, this. Hi, I'm James Marsters, and I do da-da-da-da. And you've got 5 people, each taking a minute or 2 to talk about who they are and what they do. Well, 20% of your panel time's gone before you even ask the first question. Then your moderator asks a question, and people go down the line and answer the question. you can maybe get through 3 or 4 questions on the topic, and then you turn it over to the audience for questions at about the 35 or 40-minute mark. So your panel gets just a hair over 30 minutes to dig into the topic. That's all the time you have, because you want time for audience participation, and you got to be out of there at the 50-minute mark. So by doing 1-hour presentations and workshops, we were able to do a deeper dive and present more of a master class oriented experience for our attendees. And holy crap, was Joey right that people want that. We had so many people come up to us after the event and just over the course of the day and talk to us about how much they enjoyed these master classes, these deep dives that we were doing. I'll admit to being skeptical when we first came up with the idea, and I embraced it as we went along, because I kind of wrapped my head around, it's not a con, it's a professional development conference for creators. Those are very different things. You go to a con to see cosplay, have fun, see a musical act, drink, debate whether the thing is stronger than Thor. There was none of that. This was a professional development conference. People were there to work on their craft and to learn from professionals in the field. There were published authors sitting in the audience. That was very gratifying. So that in itself set us apart from everything else in the market, to use a kind of cold term, but it is. We're selling a service, so we're in the market. And there is room in the market for such an event. So there is going to be another event. We're probably not going to continue to call it Contagion, and we're probably going to narrow the focus even more, because I'm a publisher and a writer, and I know writers, and I know creating books. So what we're moving towards for 2020, and I'm not ready to announce a name, I'm not ready to announce a date, I'm not ready to announce a location, but what will exist is a professional development conference for genre fiction writers, unlike anything else in the country. This will be professionals doing deep dives and master classes, and there will be some panel discussions in the second iteration of our event, but it won't be we won't talk about there will be no self-publishing 101 classes. There will be no how to find an agent 101. What's the basics of writing a query letter? As I said at dinner last night, when we were all kind of basking in the glory of a successful event, I don't want any 101 classes. I don't want any 201 classes. I want 300 level and up. And Melissa, who's English professor, said, we want junior and senior level coursework. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking to create. And I feel like there are enough people who are looking for that type of experience that we can host a successful event. I am looking to grow the event. We're looking at a bigger venue. We're going to try and bring in agents and editors for pitch sessions, offer manuscript critique, and I really want to keep the cost low. We do want to continue to tie in with the Charlotte Geeks and the Geek Gala and the Muggles Market, because they have a really strong brand. We had 750 people through the door yesterday on a first-year event. I don't know how. I know that several people sold well. Some people sold not so well. We got 750 people in the door. We did our part. If you can't close, that's your problem. My job as an event promoter and event organizer was to put people in the building. Hi, kitty. You want to come say hello? No, he does not want to come say hello. He's way back here, barely sniffing my fingers, and he's out. I'm amazed at the power of the Muggles Market brand. I'm amazed at the success of that. Adding that event to our event really brought it to the next level. I can't thank the geeks enough for partnering with us. And yeah, it was a great event. We did it. We pulled it off. There were more times than one that I didn't think we were going to be able to do it, especially last week with my dad being in the hospital, with everything that was going on. I mean, I didn't know on Tuesday if I was going to be at my own event, because my 90-year-old father was lying in a hospital bed. And then when we thought he was going to go home on Wednesday, then his potassium crashes and he's hooked up to IVs again. And he's worse off on Wednesday than he was on Sunday. So everything came together. Dad got home. The tables showed up. The guys came back to pick up the tables. The food trucks were fantastic. The whole thing was great. It was a great event, and I'm really looking forward to writing the next chapter. You guys need to pay attention. There's some good shit coming. I promise. And there are things we can do better. We need to do a better job of creating a printable program, especially if we expand to a multi-day event. We need to come up with a better way to sign people up for limited seating workshops. All of these are things that need to happen. There's no question. But we managed it once, and there were very few hiccups. So, rock on. We pulled it off. Now we'll do it better next year. We'll do it bigger and better in 2020. But until then, y'all be good to one another. All right?